Sansa, who is also an old man.
Hello, Sansa.
Hello.
Hello, listeners.
Hello, listeners.
Welcome to the Yaoi Shelf. Grab a seat and relax. The thing I said before we started recording was that we're just two old men because it's con crunch season for both of us.
I
If you're listener only, go swap over to video just to see the most haggard Carola I have ever seen.
Ugh. And it looks so much worse because my hair dye is going out and I need to dye it,
Just
but I haven't had the time. So like you can see the bleach.
just the absolute most haggard Carola I have ever seen in my life.
I haven't slept in a while. When was the last time we recorded?
Uh, Early July.
Yeah. I
Okay,
haven't slept since then, I think.
cool. Cool.
No,
Uh,
it's not cool.
cool, cool, cool. Cool. So we're both in the middle of con crunch season. Um, Carola has TotoCon, which is
Yeah,
her baby. Next, that is her absolute pride and joy, and she's great at it.
thank you.
Still
Um,
waiting for my invite.
yeah, we're just gonna make some money. We
Yeah, blow the entire budget to fly me in.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we can fly you in, but then we won't actually get to rent the hotel. So
There won't be a con.
there won't be we can have a con. We just won't have anywhere
It's
to
outside in a park.
outdoor. Yeah, and like if you know the weather in my city, don't ever do an outdoor anything.
That sounds awful.
It's no, it's not. I wouldn't recommend it. It's
That
we
sounds
are
terrible.
Yeah, we are 5 days out. Like we're gonna rig on Friday, so me and my organizer fam were just working around the clock. I am so tired. It's gonna be a great
Um,
con. It's just
oh, it's gonna be great.
everyone has like so many responsibilities, so we're all just like working
Con
constantly.
life.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
and I'm getting back from Anime Fest where I volunteered to do a 9 a.m. panel.
Woo! Wait, when did they open? At what time do they open?
I was like one of the first panels. It was
Yeah,
9 a.m. on the last day.
because that is so early.
Bruh.
What is happening to your vocabulary today?
It's so early.
You
Uh
don't even
and
open the doors until 10 a.m. Like that's when the
nope.
doors open.
9 a.m.
Oh
panel
my god.
on the last day of con.
No.
Yeah.
No. That's
And I
no.
did a 5 p.m. the day before.
Okay.
So yeah. And then I have another con in a couple of weeks. I'll be at Colossal Con
Oh, I'm
if
so
any of you
jealous.
guys are into you're excited about the free con. That's what you're
Yeah.
excited about.
Yeah.
You're like
Yeah. Why
you're
else would
excited
I
about free
go to
con.
Colossal Con? Wait, is this the
Oh
one with the no? Because you're not going to the one with the animals, with the baby animals.
no.
Okay, no, just checking.
The baby. Okay. So we're both con stressed and we also have Citrus Con this month.
Woo!
It's just talk about a long con. It's a long but it's
Oh my god. You can't do this to me.
yes I can.
Look
It's in
at
your
me.
contract.
Oh my god. What
It's in
contract?
your contract. Yes, I can. Um, so, in celebration of con season, we're going to talk about the BL con scene and the history of yaoi fandom and BL at cons in general. Now, this is especially interesting because I've been doing conventions since my official, because like I would pop in every once in a while when I was in high school, but like my official I got good at cons was like 2010. That was 14 years ago.
You know,
which
that's yeah, that's interesting because the shirt I'm wearing is actually from Icon
yes.
2010, which was the first. It wasn't a pure BL con.
Hmm.
It's a Yaoi Yuri con that used to exist in
Hmm.
Norway. So it's funny you
Yes.
should say that because same year.
Look at us being old.
Wow, I
Uh,
found this in my closet. I was like, oh my god, yes.
it's amazing. But I'm coming at this from the American side. Carola, of course, coming at this from the Norwegian side. We have been wanting to talk about cons so much because Carola is an organizer. I've done a lot of volunteering and on the guest side. But our con experiences are so radically
Yeah,
different
yeah.
because of where we are. So I think it's important to talk about the BL con scene when we are in the middle of our own con season.
just just so we can truly feel it.
Just,
Yeah.
I mean, I made a video over on my own channel about the very last Anime Fest, and like just talking about cons and how much they've changed was like very weirdly cathartic, but also made me very sad.
Oh no.
Well, Texas cons especially are kind of going through it right now.
Really?
Uh, we don't have time to talk about that right now.
Okay. Okay. It's
Unless,
just, you know,
do you want to do you want to talk about embezzlement?
no.
I didn't think so.
I will say though that one of my what do you call it? Like one of my rituals, pre-con rituals, as I sit doing the robot work, when I put because I'm the one putting all of our panel things and program
Hmm.
posts on the on social media, on the website. It's robot
Hmm.
work. Like it's very
Hmm.
simple, but it takes forever. So I'll have like
Yes.
video essays and things in the background. So I have made a playlist of like convention disasters and failures, Los Pegasus, DashCon, Fire Festival, all of these. And this is how I warm up. And then I'm like, at least that's not me.
Yes.
So if you have
Yes.
anything I can put on my playlist, shoot it my way. Cause like
I will. I will.
oh, he left. Okay.
The cat left.
Yeah, the cat left.
Okay. Just I pimped out our podcast a lot while I was at Anime Fest. By the way, if you're a new
Yay!
listener from Anime Fest, hello. Uh
Hello.
so I have to be mindful that this might be someone's first episode.
Oh my god. I mean, it's not the worst episode to come in on. I mean, honestly, like if
What
you
is the worst episode to come in on?
good question.
The Nakamura special.
Actually, yes.
Not because it's
Yeah.
a bad episode. It's probably one of our best
It's a
episodes,
very good episode, but
but just
like
content. So
war flashbacks.
I
Oh
actually
my
talked about it during one of my panels. I mentioned the Nakamura episode during one of my panels. I was showing a lot of ankle this week last weekend.
I am also going to show some ankle while running
Uh,
around next weekend.
Speaking of showing ankle, we're on Patreon.
Yeah.
Patrons get exclusive shout outs, exclusive videos, and behind the scenes looks. These these couple of months have been a little bit hectic because both of us decided to have lives. So we'll announce some programming and schedule stuff at the end of the episode. But now, for the sake of everyone's sanity, let us talk about the BL con scene. And we're going to start this off with wait a second. There were slash are cons just for BL?
Amazing, isn't it?
Shocking, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
there's been a rich history of there being conventions specifically for yaoi BL and also often tied hand in hand with Yuri cons as well,
Yeah.
which I think is really, really interesting because I feel like you couldn't do that nowadays.
I think yeah, and I also think it's interesting because I feel like they would do I mean or maybe this is like a Scandinavian thing. I know
Hmm.
I've heard people. I think I've read somewhere that in like American cons back in the day, they would have like panels and things called Yaoi versus Yuri.
Yes, those have existed.
Yeah, because I feel like there's like either or. So here
Mhm.
it was like you'd either slap them together because they're both gay and you have to be equal.
Yes.
You can't have just the BL con, you'd have to do both. Or they would play them up against one another. Like it's like you have to
Mhm.
choose, which I think is so
Yes.
weird.
Well, I also think about like the fandom for Yaoi and Yuri, and I think especially when we're talking about the height of this, which is like early 2000s, getting into the 2010s, those fandoms at that time did not super overlap. I'm not
Mm,
saying that didn't exist, but each of us had planted our flags. We were
yep.
like the old school yaoi readers, where each of us had our flags, each of us were in our tribe. We did not cross, even though turns out most of us were all gay as shit. But
Yeah.
Yuri fandom almost exclusively was marketed towards cis men because it's lesbian porn light. Well, don't ask how they marketed this shit in the US.
I'm not asking any questions. I don't think I want to know actually.
They basically just pumped this at men. It's like, hey, it's essentially going to be lesbian porn, kind of. And Yaoi was for us base degen fangirls. And never shall the two cross. You didn't want to meet a Yuri boy, and a Yuri boy did not want to meet a Yaoi girl.
No one wanted to meet a yaoi girl back in the day. It was like
No.
we were
And
terrible.
we
Like
were awful.
I was genuinely so obnoxious. I what the hell?
Yeah, we were worse. We were literal fucking gremlins. So I mean,
Yeah.
so those two were composed sometimes. I think even though I said it would never happen today, I think it'd be easier today to combine the two because it's all gay.
Yeah.
It's all gay, we're all gay. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I think just the way the fandoms are so different and there's so much different conversations happening around Yaoi fandom versus Yuri fandom, I don't know how that would exist in the discourse.
Hmm.
But there has been a rich history of cons just for BL and Yaoi fans, and it's amazing to see the sort of rise and fall of them because there has been a rise and there was a fall.
And then there's, over here where
And the somewhat rise again. I'm not even going to say somewhat, the rise again. The fact
mm,
that we're starting to get these conventions back in a new form. So I think that's amazing. But I think it's important to also say, but wait, wasn't there always yaoi at cons? And I think that's an important thing to talk about because I think modern listeners might hear that as like erasure. It's like, oh, well, wasn't there always yaoi at con? Like, wasn't there always kink at Pride? It's like, yeah, there was. And to ignore the history of yaoi fandom at mainstream conventions would be sacrosanct.
mm,
Um, a lot of the cosplay that I did that was yaoi wasn't at a yaoi convention. It was at a mainstream convention. A lot of the, dojins that were printed at Kinko's that I purchased were at mainstream conventions. A lot of the DVDs that I bought out of the back of someone's fucking Honda Civic were at mainstream conventions. Yes, Carola.
no, it's just so interesting hearing your tales of old. It's just it all sounds so it's so
Janky.
shady. Yeah,
It
it's like fandom noir. It's like this
it's
this was
so
back when the
sketchy.
world when the world was in grayscale and sepia
No,
tones.
it is absolutely one of those things that in hindsight, it's so fucking sketchy. It's so
Come out
fucking
to
sketchy.
come out to the parking lot to the back of my truck where I will sell you bootleg everything.
Did you want the good shit? You were going out to the parking lot to
Yeah,
someone's
no.
truck.
I'm not saying I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
I didn't get the option. We
yeah.
didn't have any of
The,
that.
o- the only time that it felt weird was there was every once in a while the occasional actual van. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to end up a Law and Order victim.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's they're actually gonna get me.
Well,
Oh
you
no.
gotta you gotta make sacrifices if you want to get the good stuff,
Yeah,
like
yeah. If you want gravitation megamix capybara, sometimes you have to go out to the van
yeah.
and hope you don't end up a crime victim. But
Ah!
yaoi, but yaoi has always been at conventions. A lot of like yaoi paddle discourse
Oh.
started. Curla, you didn't think we weren't going to talk about yaoi paddle
No, I
discourse.
didn't. I didn't. I did not
A
think
lot
that
of
we
like
were.
yaoi paddle discourse, a lot of the stuff that we talked about actually in the Hitalia episode, like the surprise butt sex and stuff like that came from those activities happening not at yaoi cons, but at mainstream cons.
Mm.
Because at a yaoi con, while still inappropriate, that was our shared language.
Jesus Christ.
That was our shared language. Surprise butt sex and breaking bones with oars.
I think you cannot comprehend if you are a young fan today. You cannot comprehend.
No, no.
It's I mean I wasn't there physically because these things went on online
Yes,
as well. We would shout it at
yes,
each other in comment sections on DeviantArt or whatever. But
yes,
like it is very different being accosted by a real life flesh and blood person at a con
yes,
and being like, "Oh, these are my people.
yes,
This is fine."
yes. If you've never had a woman's breast make full contact with your face because you've been glomped at terminal velocity, like got a running start and just just running towards you,
Yeah,
which
that
I've had that happen a few
I
times.
I've had it happen though from behind, which also don't touch me. Like
So, uh, I fawn respond super hard when I am in a situation that I don't want to be in. So like I just like freeze up. There are so many photos of me where I am just like, help me.
I don't think you're alone in that. I think there are, yeah.
Just like the light gone from my eyes, just like
Have I told you about that time when I dragged a literal 15-year-old, like literally through the entire comic book store because they globbed onto me at some event and would not let me go? We never met. And they would not let me go, and I literally dragged them through the store, and then I had to literally pry them off of me, and I was like, please don't. And then they proceeded to follow us for the rest of the day.
really, it's so hard to explain this stuff.
Yeah.
Because we have like cosplays not consent now and everything like that, but it's like, oh yeah, some guy just grabbed me.
Yeah.
But yaoi has always been at cons. There's always been an understanding that, especially in the US, you have to pander to the Fujin
Mm.
because it's the Fujin that are spending money,
Yeah.
especially at cons.
Yeah.
Um, we
Like,
have artist alleys, yes,
I just want to, interject because we will do that episode one day about
on
how
BL economics.
yeah, the BL
Yes.
economics. But even if like looking at Japan, looking at something like
Mhm,
Komiket, the
mhm,
Fujin, the Fujoshi in particular have always been there. When the
mhm,
when the when the term yaoi was coined in the 80s, those were
Hmm.
doujin circles that were in
Hmm.
comiket. So even though you have this idea, like there are plenty of like BL centric conventions and parody works focusing on
Hmm.
BL in Japan that are pandering solely to the Fujin audiences, but even big
Hmm.
mainstream events like Comiket have a massive, massive amount of BL content because it's a huge economy. Like that, the Fujins are carrying everything.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do a BL economics episode.
Yes,
We
yes,
did get a request for it. I think it'd be good to do, but especially like the American cons have always understood. Like we have artist alleys, and that fan art usually is, while there is like the titty pinup art, a lot of that art is yaoi
yeah,
based. It is from artists that like normally don't do stuff like that. But like I remember when Yuri on Ice came out, everyone and their mom had a Yuri on Ice related print. People who had like people whose art is just like scenic landscapes suddenly were putting out like a Yuri on Ice print because they needed that sweet, sweet Fujin money.
yeah. And we have a lot of money. At least we like to pretend to have a lot of
Well,
money.
we can talk about that in the BL economics episode because like I know I save up for con aggressively. So while I spend a lot, it's because I've been saving.
Yeah,
It
same.
isn't just I'm a baller and here's just throwing hundreds at artists like make it gay. Um, but it's
If I
because I've
could,
been. I mean, if I could,
if I
if I
won the
could,
lottery, which I
yeah.
don't.
But I think it's important to talk about that, like that yaoi culture, which yaoi culture feels weird, but
I
that
mean, it
yaoi,
is a thing.
it is a culture, but that has always been there. Mainstream cons have always been the place, usually for yaoi fans, to meet up
Mm,
and discuss. I mean, the reason why the show is called the Yaoi Shelf is those third spaces where yaoi fans met each other, and we didn't all get the pleasure of like going to Mecca at like YaoiCon. Most of us had to settle for like ACon or whatever convention was going on close to our home, knowing that Yaoi fans would be there.
yeah.
Um, so Yaoi has always been at cons, and it's important to talk about that. But we're here to talk about the conventions that were just dedicated to BL, and as I alluded to earlier, that means we have to talk about YaoiCon.
Go right ahead. Enlighten me.
So YaoiCon was a California convention that did have a sister YuriCon. Um,
Mm,
they were usually like on the same weekend, but they were like in different places. So they were sisters, but not like identical twins. YaoiCon is probably the most iconic American convention that Yaoi fans will think of. And it started in the early 2000s, pulled some amazing guests. Like, we're able to pull industry folks like a motherfucker because they were in California.
mm.
So, I mean, we're talking like Makoto Tateno was there. Good Lord. Yohi Goody was there. Like, they pulled guests.
Oh.
Ayano Yamane was there one year. They pulled guests left and right, and it was amazing. And it was really billed as like, especially in the US fan culture, convention for a long time was like, it was a religious experience. It was Mecca. It was, if you are a fan and you are able, you need to go on this journey to convention.
Mm.
Well, YaoiCon specifically, that was the higher version. If you are a fan, you are obligated to make this pilgrimage once.
How long
At
how long
least
did it run
once.
for?
YaoiCon ran shockingly until 2017.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Started in 2001, so a pretty good run. A very good run. I mean, considering that there are definitely other cons that have lasted a much shorter amount of time with much less impact. Now, if you were to Google YaoiCon right now or type it into YouTube, you would see some debauchery.
Well, of course. That was the calling card back then. Actually, let
You would,
me I
yes,
will I'm gonna try it.
you're gonna get some debauchery, unfortunately.
Let's see. Yaoi Con.
Uh,
Tell me. Oh look, yeah. Yeah, oh hi.
yeah, what did I say?
I mean, I have to check, you know? This is
Yeah,
science. This is
so
research.
YaoiCon is interesting because it was adult themed. All guests had to be 18, and that was checked. Uh, and YaoiCon was, I think, when a lot of newer fans look at yaoi fans and Fujin and say we're gross and fetishistic and everything like that, I think that's where a lot of this started because at its peak, YaoiCon's membership was 85% female and almost all heterosexual. So this was the worst. That number came from 2003. So that is peak. You're all just fetishizers and you don't know what you're doing. I would love to see those numbers now,
Mm.
considering how many of us, again, as we discussed in the Fujin pipeline episode, ended up not being straight females.
Mm-hmm.
In 2003, I wasn't allowed to go. I was a child.
How like how did they even calculate that? Like did they do surveys when you bought your tickets? Like how do you identify checkbox? Like
So typically, when you do like reg intake, you can collect some information. How they collected the heterosexual part, I don't know, but it was also the early 2000s. They probably just fucking asked. They probably just fucking asked.
uh, I mean, that's very
But
progressive because normally you'd think in the early 2000s they just assume like you look straight.
dressed as dressed as Sephiroth fucking Cloud. You look straight.
I mean,
But
if you are cosplaying a man from,
yes.
any Japanese piece of media, no, you do not
Yes.
look straight.
Exactly. That's what I'm
No.
saying. It's like
There are
you look
there are no
straight.
there
No,
are
you
no
don't.
straight. I don't believe in straight people
The
in fiction
30th the
actually.
30th couple cosplaying as Sasunaru, you look straight.
Did you see, excuse me, I just have to fangirl for a second because I have not seen the video, but did you see the winners of the World Cosplay Summit?
Yes,
Sasunaru
girl.
won the World Cosplay Summit yesterday, and I haven't seen their performance, but based on their costumes, I know exactly what they did, and they're gonna fucking destroy me, and I am so happy.
They just got
Carry on.
they just got they just got married on stage. That's what they did.
Oh
Um,
my god. Oh, they
but
look so good. Yes, go on. I'm sorry. I just had to get that out of my.
you're good. You're good. You're good. YaoiCon definitely had some debauchery. Uh, there were auctions where volunteers put on shows and were stripped to be entertained, to
You
entertain
know,
guests. Yes.
I'm. I can see where our cons may have gotten their inspo.
There was a lot of like there were host cafes that were essentially just like actual fucking prostitution rings, like took it from Japan. Like there was a lot of debauchery at YaoiCon, and I think a lot of that went under the radar because it was 18 plus.
Mhm.
But Carola, I'm going to ask you to go back in time a little bit. We're both mature, older fans. Were you a mature adult at 18?
I'm not a mature adult now. Like, I mean, yes, but also, uh, listen, I today at the ripe old age of, we're not naming any
Yeah.
numbers. My
Yes.
parents, who are my next door neighbors, went on a small vacation today. They're going to
Yes.
be gone for 2 nights. They gave me money. They
Mm.
both independently gave me 500 kroners so I can,
Hmm.
and I quote, buy a pizza. I am an
Hmm.
adult. So
Yes.
no, at 18, I I didn't know what I was doing. I was still blonde.
Yeah, at 18. So I think a lot of organizers were sort of like, oh, everyone's 18, it's fine. And like especially in the US, we have this big thing where it's like, oh, you're 18, you're an adult, bye.
Oh, I've
And it's
noticed
like and
because
it's
I
like, no, yes,
no, it's just going back to the discourse that we will never
the
be rid of.
discourse.
I just think it's amazing how one day you are 17, you are a literal child, and then the
Yep,
next day you are a literal whole ass adult, as long as you're not
yep,
interacting with anyone who's older than you, because then you are a child adult, which this is
yes.
new. But yeah, I
And if
think
you're
that
short, you're minor coded.
oh my god. We are both minor coded.
I'm I'm more minor coded.
Oh yeah, because I am literally at the border because I am the exact
Yes.
average height apparently. So like
And I am the
you're a
petite
child.
little thing.
Yes. A child. You can't reach
I,
your own paper towels at the store. Like,
shut. I've tried. Um, but YaoiCon was really, really interesting. It took place during the fall, which was lovely because it gets hot.
can't
And
wait.
also, Carola, do you want to know who one of their biggest sponsors was?
Yes.
DMP.
Of course. It must like just sitting here in my personal con crunch hell in
Yes.
Norway, where all
Yes.
cons, or at least 90% of all cons, are volunteer based. I am so
Mm-hmm.
jealous of the US and the market and the sponsors available to you because honestly, I would die. Because,
Oh, you would know what to do. You would not know what to do with American resources. You would be like, you would. I say this with love. You and your staff would not know what to do with American
no,
resources.
we wouldn't because we're over here like begging for scraps on the side of the road. Like, and it's so funny because you'll be like, hello, we would like to be an alternative and a cultural event for everyone who's not like football and marching bands. And then literally everyone you apply to for like resources are like, I'm sorry, but you're not a marching band or a football team, so we're not going to give you any money. We're like,
And then I was
what?
over here. I was over here with my high school anime club in regular communication with Funimation.
Exactly. You don't know what it's like to live in the dark ages.
Yeah, they had Operation Anime, which sponsored local anime clubs and gave them like access to merch and DVDs and stuff
Oh my god.
from Funimation.
Yeah. No, we don't have any
So
of that.
yeah, you guys would know what to do with American resources. But DMP, Digital Manga Publishing, which we all know and know,
We all know. Yeah.
we all know, uh,
I
which we
mean, it could have been worse.
it could have been worse. But DMP was the biggest sponsor starting in 2012, which is I think where YaoiCon starts becoming like really, really iconic. It fizzled out in 2017 finally just because of a myriad of reasons. They had really low they had some years of like really low attendance. One thing also about YaoiCon that people are always shocked about is that like it always looked like it was this super huge packed event.
Mm.
Attendance, especially in the earlier years, was shockingly low for a US con. 2007 attendance was only 1,500,
Huh.
and that's why I preface for a US con.
Yeah,
That's tiny.
because that's a big con here. Like we
Yeah,
have
if you guys got 1,500 people,
yeah, we have 1500 to 2000s at Turukan, and we are like were one of the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and especially for California, because California has the big cons like your San Diego Comic Cons and
mm,
stuff like that. So 1500 in 2007 is the baby convention. Um, YaoiCon did eventually phase out. Uh, they said that a nonprofit might take over the event in 2019. That never happened. The site went offline in 2020. So it looks like YaoiCon is pretty much as we know it dead.
mm,
Um, which, again, if you Google or search on YouTube, you will find some debauchery. Um, Main sources of debauchery were, again, prostituting your volunteers.
as one does. We
Uh,
we don't do that. I just heavy disclaimer. We don't do that.
just all the banners at ToduCon. We do not prostitute our volunteers.
Yeah, I mean the deadline for the print shop is tomorrow. I'm gonna make them make some
There's
extra
gonna
banners.
be there's gonna be two signs influenced by this show: no pipes, and we do not prostitute our volunteers.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh, oh, the pipes.
But like that was what you did in the early 2000s, I guess. Like how
You
else would they
assaulted
get
people.
DMP, right?
Right, you assaulted people. Peak yaoi paddle discourse
Oh.
where we're just breaking hips and putting oars in places oars don't belong
Well, better oars than pipes, I guess.
is neither an option. Can I just not be assaulted? Was that it?
No, if you
No
went,
tactic.
not if you went. Like if you want
Okay.
to opt out, you can't go to the con. Like
if
that's
you
not
if
how
you
this
don't want
works.
to be assaulted, don't. I mean that's how early 2000s fandom was. If you
Yeah, those
didn't want to
rules.
be assaulted, don't go to con.
Like just stay
Flashbacks.
at home then.
Oh, flashbacks.
You okay?
No. Oh, a
Oh
lot
my
of
god.
surprise butt sex, a lot of very aggressive glomping, a lot of being felt up by random people.
Yeah.
There was some debauchery, but for all of its ills, it was one of the biggest places for yaoi fans to come together and feel valid. Because especially in the early 2000s, when we were having these conversations in America, you know, I don't know how somehow modern anti-Fujo discourse is better than what we endured when we were younger. I'd
I
rather
mean,
be called a fetishizer than just a straight up fucking freak.
I feel like I mean there was harassment either way though.
There was.
Like today you'll be harassed and called a fetishizer and a pedophile and all of these things, and back then you would be literally assaulted and also called a freak. I
Yes.
mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Icon?
I mean, there's not really a lot to say. I think
Okay.
I was just looking it up when you were talking, and like you can't
Yeah.
even find any records of it online. But like Icon was, from what I remember. So this is I am the sole source of this, and I
Yes.
might be wrong. But
Okay.
Icon was an event that was organized by the Desicon organizers, who were like at
Mm-hmm.
the time the only and also biggest con in Norway for a good while. And so
Mm-hmm.
they started having like smaller cons throughout the year. So they would have like they had SoraCon, which was like a small thing in the summer, and then they ended up
Mm-hmm.
they did something called CosCon in the
Mm-hmm.
in the fall. They had something called Kapla, which was an 18 plus event. And somewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of this, they did Icon, which I think they only ended up doing 3 times. So Icon
Mm-hmm.
was a Yaoi slash Yuricon that was held in Oslo um, in I think 2009 and 2010. In 2010, it was actually held twice. So the
Mm-hmm.
one I went to, I was an invited guest. That was my first time doing a panel at a convention, which was terrible, by the way. I had no idea what I was doing. It was weird, but I had a really good time. I just released my first novel, and I was invited. as a guest, and I got to
Mhm.
meet a lot of people. It was super fun. Um, and I don't know how many attendees there were. It was held in a high school, so they rented the high school and they had like the auditorium. So it was
Mhm.
smaller than like the big cons, but it wasn't like super tiny. And
Mhm.
it's so funny because it was like it was, I think like it probably drew on like the stories that we were told about like things like Yaoi Con, because when you started talking about like the
The debauchery.
volunteer, yeah, like because literally um one of the first things that happened, like because we came down on the Friday, so the con I think was only one day, so we came down on the
Mhm.
Friday, and we just got stuck in like the most horrible rain. Like when it rains in Oslo, the entire city just floods because they have no infrastructure. They always have nice weather. So if it rains, it's like we were just soaked through it. We couldn't check into our hotel, so the organizers ended up taking pity on us and letting us come to the rigging and just hang out during the rigging, which is where we got to see um the staff rehearsing the shows. So the the con was like divided into sections that were like every so often they would do like a little play, like a little act of a play that
Mhm.
they would do like throughout the con. And I only got to see like the beginning and the finale because I was at a stand and doing my thing all day.
Mhm.
But we came there and they were rehearsing. So literally we just walk in and there is just like a line of guys and girls who are like making out because that was part of the stage show.
Yes.
So, because the
Yes.
girls were dressed, the female staff were dressed as maids, and the male staff were dressed as butlers. And one of
Mhm.
my now good organizer friends, the first time I met him, he had his tongue down someone else's throat, and it took me a while to realize that this man was straight. and, and like that was it. Like that was the fan. Like it was just heavily drawing on fan service and just
Yes.
like these tropes and then these stories that you'd heard about what was happening at American
Yes.
cons. And of course we didn't
Yes.
have yaoi paddles, we didn't have any of that, but it was just like it was
You want
you could
some?
never no, but you could never do that today because one you know, literally putting people on stage like and saying okay,
Mhm.
get together, girl girl couple, boy boy couple, make out, this is your entertainment, like that wouldn't
Mhm.
fly today. Of course we loved it back then, like it was great. And then it was and I don't know if this is true, so take this with a heavy pinch of salt, but like I heard from someone years later that one of the reasons why it got shut down was because not all of the staff, like not all of the butlers and maids were 18. And we are lenient in this country, but that would never fly today. Like
Not that lenient.
what
Yeah.
it was just I don't think anyone would genuinely care, but I think that the organizers were probably like, okay, maybe this is not a good
Mhm.
idea. Like because but that's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but someone told me this at some point. And it wouldn't surprise me because like most people, like back then, even when we started Tutorcon, which, is not
Mhm.
a Yaoi con, but like we didn't really have age restrictions for the staff at the time because you just needed
Mhm.
volunteers and the people who want to
Right.
go are going to be young. So I think that in the early 2000s, that wasn't something you really thought about.
No, and I think two things I want to talk about from there about YaoiCon. One, yes, I think one of the big reasons why YaoiCon couldn't exist in its original form today is that it was very much that early 2000s rabid Fujo. The
Mm.
one that just two boys must kiss.
Yeah.
It wasn't really deeper conversations. It while those were happening, because again, there is no more self-reflexive person than a fan, but that was not on show. There were some
Mm.
interesting panels, but like that was not the main topic. It was a lot of fan fiction, a lot of fan works, a lot of you're there with your best friend who you're probably a little gay for, and you guys are just doing like kissing photos with
Yeah,
zero judgment. So I think one of the big reasons why YaoiCon couldn't exist today is that it did lack, especially like just at surface level, that self reflection that is so important to being a Yaoi fan now. There was no critical thought happening at YaoiCon.
there
And
was no
two,
room for critical thought in the midst of all that fan service.
no, there wasn't. And two, that desire to be there even when you're young. Because we could have some interesting conversations about minors at convention, which I have very mixed feelings about. One thing I did talk about at Anime Fest was I was very, very shocked by the amount of like children. And I had to go back to being like a family friendly panelist where I didn't swear or talk about sex.
Welcome
Um,
back, family friendly Amanda.
eh,
The cryptid.
eh, no, I miss talking about fictional dick. Um,
Fair. It's a good subject to talk about.
it's a
It's
great
my
subject.
it's my favorite kind of dick, let's be honest.
It's
Like,
fictional, but
fictional, yeah.
um, there were a lot of like kids and babies, and it's like I don't want to be responsible for like if I'm like reading one of the mega mixes from Gravitation and your kid like pops up behind me and like Aries blown out asshole is like the first image that they see. I don't want that to be like my fault.
I mean, that's not your fault because you didn't
I
bring
know
your
it's not my
child.
fault. I know it's not my fault, but like I'd feel bad.
But like, I don't understand this because again, again, this might be the Scandinavian thing. Like, we're not. At least we didn't used to be so
Mhm.
strict. Like,
Mhm.
it's happening because the purity culture is bleeding through the internet and catching us as well. And like, I'm seeing a lot more talk
Mhm.
about like minors and people who are 18 plus and stuff here. But like, as
Mhm.
a whole, the community is pretty, versatile, like age wise, the demog, and of course, we're a small country. Like, our events are smaller. We're not we. It's
Mhm.
hard to cater to like a select audience, or a select demographic. So
Well,
we are family friendly, but we're
yeah,
not a family centered convention. So I absolutely
yeah.
get it. Like, if there are kids who are like, say, 10 or 12, because then they can enjoy the costumes, they can watch
Mhm.
the catwalks, they can watch the competitions. But
Mhm.
like, when people bring their literal infants, I'm like, what does your infant get out of this? And why are
Yeah.
you complaining to the staff that there isn't anything to do for your 2-year-old? Like, I
And
what?
we could have a whole conversation like the death of third spaces and stuff like that. We're not going to do that today because we'd be here all fucking day.
I don't have
Um,
time for that.
yeah, neither of us have time for that. I have to go get an oil change, and that is not a
Oh
euphemism.
no, that is such an adult thing to do.
I have to get my oil changed in my car.
Ah,
Um, but I think it was that because like there were definitely again like I can't confirm this, but there were stories of people using fake IDs to get into YaoiCon,
of
and they were
course.
really only 16 years old. And again, even though I do not think you're a full adult at 18, that was definitely not the place for someone who was 15. That was definitely not the place for someone who was 16. That was definitely not the place for someone who was 17. Realistically, it wasn't the place for anyone in hindsight, considering what they were doing.
But if you twist it though, if you were 15 and you had the opportunity to go because you had a fake ID, would you?
Oh, I'd go!
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then
Because
come back traumatized.
these are the
Because,
same, like, remember, these are the same kids who were lying on the internet about being
yeah,
18 so we could read the smutty fan
exactly.
fiction. So obviously you'd
Exactly.
go if
No,
you
a
had the chance.
100%. And I'd come back a hollow shell of myself.
Yeah, but you'd be a hollow shell telling everyone that, oh my god, it was amazing. I got to see all this fictional dick. Like, you know.
Come back a fucking war veteran, all scarred up and like any loud sudden movements scare me.
like that is genuinely one of the again, like I think our cons were definitely tamer than yours.
You
Uh,
think?
and of course, a lot of this is probably can probably be attributed to the whole Scandinavian shyness. We're
Mhm.
not we're very quiet. But when I went to Icon that time, there was an interview. Like there were some reporters. Like for some reason, there was like press there, and there was this video that was aired like on TV or something. And I remember this so well. Like
Mhm.
they're talking to a girl who clearly is a teenager. Like she looks
Right.
really young, and she's just like vibrating in place, and she's got stars in her eyes, and
Yes.
the journalist is like, are you having a good time? And she just lights up like a fucking Christmas tree and screams into the microphone, I got to see two boys kissing, this is the best day of my life.
Like,
You don't understand if you weren't there.
fair.
Like it was,
No,
yeah.
100%, 100%. Like,
Hey, Santa.
so
Yeah, hey. He's yelling.
I can hear him. Sansa, why are you screaming?
He needs attention.
Well, he can't right now. Um, so while of course YaoiCon was likely not the only yaoi centered convention in the US, it was the biggest, and that con scene died.
And they nabbed the name though.
They did. They
Like
got the
you are
name.
the Yaoi Con.
Yes. But that con scene did eventually start to die out. Big reasons why, again, people started telling their stories of the debauchery.
Hashtag me too Yaoi Con edition.
Listen, around the cosplay is not consent time, people just airing out whole truths, and then it was like, oh, what happened to me was bad.
Yeah.
Oh, so the debauchery was a huge neg. And then I think, again, we're talking that the con ended in 2017. The fandom has really changed. While
Mm,
there are, of course, still rabid Fujins, I would gander that a majority of visitors to a YaoiCon now are not het females.
no.
It's incredibly queer, it's incredibly diverse. Also, one thing about YaoiCon that was really interesting was because of the economics of it, it ended up looking overwhelmingly white, which made it difficult for POC and Black fans to be like, we're here too. We just can't afford to vanish and go to California.
Hmm.
That was something my aunt would notice. It's like, oh, by the way, going to California for 3 days. Bye.
I mean,
Comes,
California's not that far from Texas.
it's several states over, and
It's
in
like
a different.
several Texases over. Like,
It's at least a Texas over, and a different time zone.
oh,
So they notice. Um, it got too expensive to go. California is not easy to travel to, unless you're there. And even if you're there, California is like Ozempic, Texas, where it's just skinnier, but it's still big. So,
oh my god!
yes.
That's the best expression I've heard in a while. A
But
septic Texas.
it's still big. It's a good size state. Texas is just fat.
I read this morning, by the way, that
Yeah.
there's another forest fire in California that is the size of three Oslos, which
Yes.
apparently is a new measurement unit.
Just use an Oslo.
It's not as good as my favorite, which is one Nagisa, but Makoto's back is 2.5 Nagisas. Never forget.
I'm so excited for FreeCon.
I'm so jealous. You have to send me photos so I can live vicariously through you as you have your beach episode,
I will. I'm so
or like
excited.
pool episode, I guess.
Cool episode.
Oh.
So the seeds are dying out because of money, because you know, organizer to behind the scenes staff and panelist. Conventions are hard. They're expensive. They're time consuming. It is literally a year's worth of work for 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, Everything that you possibly think can go wrong likely will go wrong at least once. It's a lot of effort. And as Yaoi fandom started to change, especially like that Tumblr generation,
Mm.
something like YaoiCon just didn't really continue to make sense. Would I love to see something like YaoiCon resurrect in the US? Absolutely. But I think it'd have to be very, very different from the fan service fest that it was. You can still have fan service. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
saying we're intellectuals. Please give me some fictional dick. Like,
You can
we're not
be
all.
intellectual and enjoy,
Yeah,
some debauchery and some fan service at the same time. I
new
know
sticker.
it is
New
me.
sticker coming to the shop.
Yeah.
An intellectual who enjoys occasional debauchery.
Yes, it is I. It is me. I am the target audience
Yeah,
here.
I am the target audience here. Um, but these things are getting harder and harder to put out in real life. And then of course COVID happened.
Yeah, that didn't help.
No,
You know
so
how hard it is to fan service when you have to be 6 feet apart, just with a mask.
that's what the Yowie paddle's for.
So that, oh, I thought, well, and then you can use it to measure. Like,
Yes.
please stay one yaoi paddle apart at all times.
Could you imagine?
Just
Could you imagine?
in that case, they would have to like hand them out at the entrance so that
Yes,
everyone
that's
could
your
just.
social dis. There'd be so many broken bones.
Oh my god! And
Just
then
people
if someone
fucking
got too close to you,
like stay back. Just gonna be like fucking Wii Sports Resort, that
oh
sword
my
fighting game.
god, that sounds
Everyone would die.
that sounds
No one would
horrible.
live.
How to kill a con scene?
Give everyone a 6 foot wooden oar.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Encourage them to beat the fuck out of each other.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't necessarily condone violence, but you get too far up into my personal space, I'm gonna hit you.
yeah, it's an excellent deterrent.
Yeah. Oh my god.
There's gonna be
Just
so many like weird signs at ToruCon this year, just like Carola being like, no fucking yaoi paddles, no pipes.
I genuinely wanted to put it in our rules of conduct that yaoi paddles were forbidden, and I'm like, no
Yes.
one in this country knows what a yaoi paddle was. Certainly not the younger
It is
generation.
it's
I'm
literally
like,
just for me.
but I'm like, we need to put it in the rules of conduct for historical reasons. You don't
Yeah.
understand.
So when Amanda sees this, she's like,
Yeah,
ha
just to
ha.
make sure that when you actually come to visit, you will
Yes.
know not to bring your yaoi paddle.
Can you imagine me flying internationally with my yaoi paddle?
I don't
Just
think they
having to
would let
store
you.
it under the plane. I'm gonna send you a
Only,
picture of it on the baggage carousel.
yeah, only for our head of security to confiscate it at the door. Henrik would be
Just
like,
like a fucking cartoon, like nah. Just
no. And he's a nice guy. Like
I'm sure he is.
we have so little trouble. Like he spends a lot of the weekend just getting coffee for people because there are so few situations to deal with. But like he would deal with you. And that yaoi paddle.
Oh my god. But there are many reasons why the yaoi con scene died out. As I mentioned earlier, like the Texas con scene is going through it right now, which is really kind of sad because Texas used to be like the second, third biggest state for
Yeah,
cons.
because I feel like every time I would read about cons, like living vicariously through people on the internet, everything was in Texas. Like
Yeah,
everyone
well,
was going to the cons in Texas and
because we had
California.
Funimation,
Yeah.
and we don't have that really anymore.
No.
Thanks, Crunchyroll.
Can that be a sticker?
No, we'd get
Thanks,
sued.
Crunchyroll.
No, we get sued. We'd get sued promptly. Thanks, Crunchyroll.
What is it? What is
But
a synonym for crunch?
crispy log.
Yeah, yeah. Call it. Thanks, Crispy Log. Please, I want.
You see, like the jankiest fox, like a bad taxidermy fox.
Yes, please. I need it.
Why are we like this? Why are
Oh,
we
I'm
like
saying it actually physically hurts. I haven't laughed in a while. I don't know. I can't handle this. Oh my.
this? But the yaoi con scene did start to die out. Now again, yaoi at cons did not.
No.
So if anything, it got worse. Um, but the just dedicated yaoi con scene started to die out in your 2010s, getting into really your 2010s. I think it's very, very fascinating that one of the biggest sponsors for yaoi con was DMP.
Yeah.
They might as well just say founded by Tokyo Pop.
And I also, this has nothing to do with DMP, but it's just, you saying the con scene dying out, like, because when
Mhm.
I think it was the year, I published my first novel, I found out that Sweden had
Mhm.
a BL con, which was called Blush, which is funny because, Blush con is, well, we'll get to that, but
We will.
I found out that there was one in Sweden, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is so close! I can go there. Maybe I could do a panel. Maybe I could ask to be a guest." I was so hyped, and literally the next year it died, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Well, I guess I'm not going there anymore."
And also just like the logistics of doing an 18 plus con is harder
Hmm.
because yeah, it's verifying that everyone's actually 18. The scandal when you realize someone isn't. Of
I think especially over there, like I'm not saying that
yeah.
we're not taking age restrictions seriously if we actually implement it, but it's just
Mhm.
I think for an event to actually be 18 plus here, there would
Mhm.
be. I think there are a lot of things happening in Norwegian cons that may have
Mhm.
been considered to be 18 plus in other cons. We'll just put like we will just have like a thing that says don't attend this panel if you're under 18 or like.
Yeah, and like I remember sometimes when I was paneling cuz like I did family friendly for a little while, but then like at night I'd be like 18 plus and
Mm.
it's just fuck shit and talk about sex and stuff like that. Um Conventions would scan your badges and your badges were usually tied to like your real physical government ID.
That is so wild.
So like, oh yeah, so like when I paneled at Anime Fest, like I had to show my driver's license,
Hmm.
like my actual government ID to be like I am this person
Mm.
and that you were indeed 18 plus. This is gonna throw back for some old Texas fans, but like YuleCon very famously had like two different badge colors, and it was YuleCon because it was Christmas themed.
Mm.
Um, uh, where you had your 18 plus badge that you still had to verify with your ID a lot of times because they'd have like these little like secret booths that were all covered
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
just 18 plus. Talk about sketchy is like normal booth, normal booth, normal booth, covered up caravan booth.
I wonder what's in there.
Yeah, and you had to like show your ID. There was like a bouncer. You had to show your ID to get in. And it's just a
Mm.
bunch of fucking degenerates in a dark room, in a dark little caravan area. Just like, you got any of that gay porno? Like it's a fucking opium den.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, let's be real here. It is pretty addictive. Like,
it is.
I mean, once
Um,
again, putting the dick in addictive, but like,
Also, I think at this stage, drugs would be cheaper.
yeah, but I don't think they'd be as fun.
No. Also, Carola, I would demand that you move your country closer.
Okay.
Just just shift it up a little bit.
Oh,
Shipping is too expensive.
yeah. No, you don't say.
Yeah, shipping is too hard. So if you could just move your landmass up a little bit, that'd be
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. The mayor is coming to Tutorcon, so I'll have him pass it on to whoever.
yeah. Just move up a
Yeah,
little. That'd be great. Thanks. I appreciate
we
it.
could maybe we could switch places with Sweden. They've always envied our coastline, so maybe like we could just
Just
swap.
let him have it. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
like
I leave that up to your discretion. You know, you're the expert.
yeah,
But if you could
clearly.
just, just just move up a little, that'd be
Yeah,
great. Thanks.
yeah, I'll do my best.
Much
I'll see what
much
I can
more
do.
convenient for me as an American.
And obviously,
But
the whole world caters to the
yeah,
Americans. That is
yes,
how it
yes.
works.
As an American, as a Texan American,
Oh my god, which is the most
I am
obnoxious.
assuming the most obnoxious. Yes, like I'm assuming that my word is very important.
Yeah, of
Joking.
course.
Um, So the Yaoi scene died for a little while, and while no one was really sad, it definitely left a pit in that part of the fandom that did really thrive on having these bigger conversations about coming together. Because again, around your 2000 and Tumblr generation, so like your 2015s and stuff,
2000 and Tumblr generation.
what do you want from me?
I nothing.
Uh you started getting this desire to have those conversations again. That yes, we can just fangirl over Super Hulock, but I also want to talk about some of these other issues that are facing the community. And that lack of representation became a big issue. That lack of, of space for brown fans, especially,
Hmm.
started becoming a huge issue. So we see this really, really interesting rise, especially during the COVID era, which I was watching an episode of Law and Order SVU that was like set like during COVID, and they are
Oh.
talking about it like it was 1,000 years ago, and it was the funniest fucking thing.
Okay, but I was listening. Have you listened to the podcast American Hysteria?
No, I need to.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm enjoying it, but I started on season 1 and
Hmm.
now I'm on season 2, which is still in 2019. So they did
Hmm.
an episode on germs. And it was so wild listening to this kind of take post
Yes,
COVID, even though it was, recorded pre COVID. I was like, this is so
yes,
fucking weird. This is
but
so weird.
there was this really, really interesting time during COVID era where everyone and their mom was doing virtual conventions.
Yeah.
A lot of the big conventions were doing something virtual. It was really, really interesting. And in that space, sort of like the podcast boom that happened during that time, people started taking conventions back into their own hands. You started
Mm,
seeing a lot of black anime fans getting together and hosting virtual conventions. And with that, you saw the rise of virtual yaoi conventions coming back.
yes.
Yeah.
Finally, I too can attend.
And I think it's amazing because I have such mixed feelings about virtual conventions just as a thing.
Mm,
Like, I love them as a concept, but they're just so not the same.
mm.
Like, when I am very used to convention meaning a certain thing. And don't get me wrong, I love virtual cons, but those are not the same thing.
No, oh, they aren't like they are and they aren't. Like I get
Yes,
that. I get the feeling like when I'm like hanging out and talking to people and like jumping from panel to panel and not getting enough
yes,
sleep like virtually. I get that
yes,
cozy nice feeling that I get from being at a con with my friends,
yes,
but it also obviously is not the same because you are
yes,
literally at your house.
yes, yes. Um, I remember I mentioned I was at Anime Fest. and like the turnout was actually like really kind of low, and they moved to this big fancy hotel, so like the low turnout felt even worse because it's
Mm-hmm.
at this really really big hotel. And I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and he's like, how long did you stay? And it's like, honestly, after my 9 a.m. panel, I did like one more trip around the dealer's room and one more trip around Artist Alley, and I left. And I
Oh.
said it was like seeing Barney without his head. Like it was like seeing like it's like seeing like Chuck E. Cheese without his head on. Like it's just sad. Like have you seen those like infamous photos of like Disney where it's like Mickey Mouse taking a smoke break?
Mm.
It felt like that, where it's like the mystery is gone, the whimsy is gone, all the artifice is gone.
Yeah, like
And
I
it's
picture again, like I've been watching and listening to these con disaster videos again, and I've been, I've been made aware of Pokemon something in the Philippines where it was just like there's just like these pictures and it's just like this
mhm,
big empty room. There's no decoration, there's nothing in it. Like that's what I'm imagining when
mhm.
you're like telling it like that.
Yeah, it's really really interesting. So I love virtual cons for their ability to be easier to organize. I'm not saying easy. I said easier
Yeah,
because I'm not here to diminish. Yeah,
thoughts
I'm
and
not
prayers
here to
to the
diminish the
cons.
work. Yeah, I I am not here to diminish the work of any of virtual con staff. Uh, but we started seeing virtual cons rise up, and I think one of the biggest that I remember, of course, is FujoCon.
I love Fujokan.
FujoCon, um, and that one really felt like out of at the time because while CitrusCon is, I think, taking over a lot of that space where FujoCon was, I think FujoCon was what we always wanted YaoiCon to become.
Hmm.
I think if FujoCon could have ever translated to a real in person event, it would absolutely be as close to a successor as we could have gotten to
Hmm.
YaoiCon.
I remember being like in attendance at the first one,
Mm-hmm.
watching all the panels and like everything, and and being afraid that
Mm-hmm.
they would move it to a physical space and that I would
Mm-hmm.
lose access because like
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I love so much about virtual conventions, and especially like
Mm-hmm.
something like FujoCon, something like CitrusCon,
Mm-hmm.
where everything is about BL and we're all like, we're all
Mm-hmm.
in this together, like, is that like it doesn't matter where you are, like anyone can
Right.
access it as long as you have internet access. And so no
Mm-hmm.
matter where you are, what your time zone is, you can still participate. And like when else are you going to get the chance to attend panels by really kick-ass scholars in one moment, like Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, Dr. Welker, Dr. Kirsten, and then in the next, like you can play some silly game with someone and
You can
like,
listen to us be weird in the next
yeah,
hour.
exactly. And it's such a great thing because normally you would have to do so much traveling to
Mm-hmm.
experience just like one of those panels, and now you can do it at home. And so, I think it makes the learning and the community so much more accessible. And I was so afraid
Mm-hmm.
of losing that when we came out of the pandemic because
Mm-hmm.
it was for those of us who don't live in places where you get a lot of these things, or a lot of the, like, we don't have the resources or the money, or even the, like, even the people, like, where are we going to
Right.
get the experts, where are we going to get the
I
sponsors?
have I have offered myself several times.
I know you have, but again, we don't have any money. Like, welcome to, well, the richest country in the world, but the conventions so poor.
But yeah, like, and I completely empathize with that. Like, there is no part of me that's saying like every convention should be in person. Meh. I'm
No.
old. I'm old and tired. I've walked like 2 miles in a day Saturday at A Fest, and I feel every bit of how old I turned. I was sore. I was sweaty. My back hurt. I
Yeah.
needed to take a break every like 5 seconds. I was so fucking tired. So no, I completely respect and understand the importance of these virtual cons. It is a virtual con how we met.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I obviously don't get to say a lot of shit about like I don't like the con. No, obviously I love them because I wouldn't have met Carola without that. Our arranged marriage. Uh,
Arranged con marriage. Shout out to Casa Con for bringing
that's
us
Kasuga,
together.
who didn't invite me back.
Who also is not a BL con, just saying.
I know, but did not
Which
invite me back. I'm just saying.
hmm?
Sketchy as shit. Um, just saying. Sketchy as fuck. You know. Anyways, uh, but that rise of newer yaoi cons online also brought our attention to the more global yaoi convention scene. Because I think one big thing that Americans are bad at, which Americans are bad at in general, is really only focusing on the US. And I was like, there's no more yaoi cons. Yes, there are. They're just not in America.
Yeah, but there is nothing outside of America.
No, we acknowledge that Japan exists, but in like a weird biome that's only designed to give us shit.
You know, I love those compilations of worst and dumbest thing an American has said to you, and just like
Yes.
wild takes, and it's just like, how do you? What is
Function?
what is happening over there? Like, my grandma literally told me earlier today that
Yes.
I am terrible at geography, which I acknowledge. I do. I am
Mm-hmm.
terrible at everything in that aspect. But at least like, it's just like hearing stories of people being like, "Oh yeah, I went on exchange to the US and they were literally asking me, "Do you have phones in Norway? Do you have internet in Norway? Like, are you guys okay?"
No. No. And arguably we've never been okay.
No.
But what I'm really, really amazed by is the conventions that are outside of the US and
Hmm.
how they are thriving. Shout out to
Yeah.
YCon and BlushCon,
Oh my
which
god.
if you guys ever want us to be there, my bags are packed, my passport is current. Let's
I
fucking
also have a
go.
current passport. I want to go to BlushCon so bad.
Yeah, if anyone from BlushCon or YCon is listening, let's fucking go. I'm down. Um, and then of
What
course,
is
we
YCon
yes,
the one in? Is that the one in Brazil?
isn't that France?
Oh no, it is. Yeah, it is the French one. Because that's what I
Yeah,
thought. Yeah, no, like, I don't speak French. I've never wanted to go to France. But listen, YCon, I'll
yeah,
go. I'm coming.
yeah,
Like, invite me. Like, it's not
yeah.
that far. It's like
Invite, yeah. The Yaoi Shelf is ready to go abroad if necessary.
the Yaoi
So,
Shelf abroad. Yeah,
could you
I.
imagine?
Oh my god.
Could you imagine us in a different country?
Can you imagine us in France? Like, just you living your fucking Italia, Jean Baptiste weeb life while I'm over here. Like,
I'm literally crying.
do you speak French, Amanda? Because I'd be dead. You don't understand. Please, why can't invite us? Like, it would be so much fun. Like,
Also, for you to be that's the first time you meet me in person, is
yeah.
me at my absolute fucking worst, making Eiffel Tower penis jokes. No.
No, don't you mean you at your best? That
I
sounds
mean, yeah,
amazing. Like,
me at my most fucking gremlin? Yes.
oh my
YCon,
god.
please. BlushCon,
Why
please.
can't? Come on, let's go. I
Let's
am an author.
go.
I can bring some books. I have nothing to offer.
We have a decent fan base. I'd say we're moderately famous.
Yeah.
Please.
Come
Hello.
on.
Let's go. Um, but what's amazing is also like that there is this really, really interesting mix of there's a lot more scholars at these conventions. So like there are no
Mhm.
scholars invited to YaoiCon. No one wanted to have Dr. Thomas talking
I
about.
I feel like
Yes.
when I mean clearly this is like going back to the roots.
Mhm.
Like when YaoiCon first got started, like Dr. Thomas was probably like still in high school because
I mean, yeah.
he's I think he's a year younger than me, which is so
Mhm.
strange to me because he's an adult and I
Yeah, he's an actual adult and we're
yeah,
still children.
I don't know what I'm doing over
I
here.
don't like knowing that he's probably either my age or slightly older
It's
and look at
so
what he's doing and look at what I'm doing. I don't like that information.
I know,
I
right?
it that dealt psychic damage to me. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I remember, like Dr. Thomas, if you're listening, I'm sorry for the disrespect. Like, but I remember when I first found out, it was like, what? But
I I feel that way looking at like some of the modern like RuPaul's Drag Race girls, where it's like, "Hi, I'm 27 and I have 5 bazillion followers, and all I do is like AI filter makeup." And it's like,
like, I genuinely feel, like watching anything these days, no one is above the age of 25. Like,
yeah,
we are officially at the age where you watch a movie, you watch a show, everyone in it is younger
we are
than you.
not represented. Yeah, we
Like,
are. So I had to stop watching shonen anime. It's like relate to this 15-year-old boy. It's
oh,
like
but
no.
no, but I can do that. But I can't relate to these characters on yeah, no.
But yes, YCon, BlushCon, if you're listening, we would love to attend.
Oh, that I
Um,
would love that.
and then CitrusCon, which hey, we're gonna be there.
We're gonna be there. We might
Uh,
be a little dead, but we are very excited.
we are because I have
Not
a con the week before.
yeah, and I'll be in recovery. And also, I think is our panel. Do I remember this correctly? Our panel is on Sunday.
It is on Sunday.
Yeah, which means that at that point, I will have been awake for like 48 hours catching all the panels because everything is in the wrong time zone. So if you think I'm tired today, get ready for that panel because, like, I'm gonna be,
That's
I
why
am
I'm
going,
working on it.
I'm gonna be a train wreck and only fueled by the power of Red Bull. By the way, Red Bull, if you want to sponsor me, let's go.
Yeah.
This is just
Um,
the episode where we're just like begging.
I mean, we can beg harder.
I can beg harder.
We can. Please don't clip that out of context.
Why
I can,
not? It would fit right in at YaoiCon.
I can beg harder.
I can
Um,
beg harder. Yes.
but CitrusCon, I think, really is taking a really, really interesting niche in the virtual convention space. They've been able to pull some really, really stellar sponsors, some really, really stellar guests.
Mhm.
I'm amazed at what they've been able to do. I mean, they bagged us, so they can't be half bad. But I'm just so fascinated by, and Curla mentioned like Comic Cat, like I think looking at yaoi conventions in the BL con scene like it's dead is so reductive, and that's such an America centric thing to do. It's like, and it's also, again, it's not looking at the history. It's ignoring that BL fandom has always been a core pillar of convention fandom.
Mhm.
Where else were we getting our shit if not from the back of a van in a parking lot?
Where else would you live out all of your dreams and your fantasies and your cosplay debauchery? Like that's where you went.
So the BL con scene is a complex topic because it's easy to approach it like it just died. There was only one ever. And by no means is this a comprehensive list of
Oh
yaoi
no.
conventions.
And
There's so many more. Yes.
yeah, and like and some of these are like based on our personal experiences and again
Indeed.
like on especially like I said like talking about like the Norwegian scene for instance, it was barely
Mhm.
a scene because it was so
Mhm.
short lived and there are so few resources available. Like there is hardly any trail of it. Like there's no paper
Mhm.
trail. You don't know where
No.
any of this is. So like there might be some error here
Yeah.
in like
And I think, older fans in general, we tend to talk about these things like war stories
because they
because
are
because
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 you
these
were
are on.
being because you were being hit with yaoi paddles.
So, we talk about this stuff and it sometimes feels like, well, they couldn't have been that bad. And then you look at it and it's like, oh, it was actually worse.
Yeah.
But I love that the modern yaoi con scene is much more reflexive. There are bigger conversations happening. It is a place for both fan service and fan thought,
Hmm.
because that's what the fandom has always been. It's
Yeah.
always been both. So I am so happy to be a part of this, second wave of yaoi conventions where, yes, it's fan service, and yes, during a panel I can say that I have inappropriate feelings about Shao Tucker.
You do you.
I still don't think he's the worst fictional man I like.
Which I mean, I feel like that does say a lot about many things, but
I somehow don't think he's the worst.
mm, yeah, well,
Girl is just afraid.
yeah, like I live in fear. This is okay. No, it's fine. I was trying
I
to
don't.
think of someone who's worse,
Yeah, I don't think. I don't know how
I,
to say this. I don't think he's the
but
worst.
I think but it also depends on how do you measure it. Like what are the units you measure it by? Because like there are a lot of
One
ways.
Nagisa unit of evil.
Nagisa is so small though. It will have to be like something like one a day. A is really tall.
He is. One Mako's shoulder of
One,
evil.
yeah, one Makoto back. Fucking wide ass. Why is he so wide?
It's to carry Haru's hopes and dreams.
I mean, I know why because in backstroke and all of that, but like,
We'll always talk about free. There's
I
no
miss
way.
free. We need to. We can we do a free episode?
Oh my god.
I am like, listen.
Comment below if you want us to do a free episode.
I will wear my Iwatobi jacket. Did I tell you about the time I wore my Iwatobi jacket to work when I worked at the pet store?
No.
And I have the Iwatobi Swim Club jacket, and I
Yes.
wore it to work because it was like it was kind of warm but kind of cold. So I was like, didn't really have any appropriate clothes, and I was like, I can wear the jacket because it has a zipper and it has like a high neck. And I
Yes.
wear it, and my boss, who knows that I famously hate everything sports, he looks at me and he's like, "Oh my god, you own something sport related?" And I'm like, it's an animated swim club, and he just left. I was like, please let me tell you about Iwatobi Swim Club.
No. I bought an Iwatobi Swim Club jacket years ago online, and I forgot that the model for this is Asian sizes. I could not get my left tit in that jacket.
Yeah, fair. They're not. Yeah.
I could not. I could not get a singular boob in that jacket. So yeah, if you want us to do yes.
I also wanted to get because I have a Yu-Gi-Oh cosplay, and I wanted to get the Team Russia jacket, but then um, a lot of things happened, and I don't feel like I should.
And I no longer feel that this is appropriate.
It's like the Hetalia of sports cosplays. It's like, yeah, no, maybe not.
Like, yeah, I don't feel comfortable glorifying Russia right now. Nothing personal.
And even if it wasn't for the war, or the
In
invasion,
general.
it's just wearing a Russian figure skating jacket in the climate that is figure. No, let's just no,
This is
no.
the part of the show where we thank our patron.
roasting me. Oh,
Starting with Braden, Dobie80, Koval, Sue, Lucy H, Amora Blue, Nabila, Rin, Wesley, Jamie, Lauren, and Jay. Thank you so
thank
much for supporting the
you.
show. If we do get invited to YCon, it'll be your Patreon dollars that help us do it.
I hope they pay the flight for us.
If they
At
at least
least
pay
if
the
we're
flight,
going to BlushCon, because like I feel like that would be expensive.
yes. Don't
I
worry, we will list out all of our requests and demands as guests. I request red M&Ms only. That's a joke for you RuPaul fans out there. Um, but thank you so much, patrons.
thank
You will
you.
get your exclusive video right at the end of the month. This month there is no live because we will be at CitrusCon. So we will be at CitrusCon this year on Sunday. I am pulling up the exact time because I just know it's early as fuck. Come on, computer.
No.
Uh, so we have a panel on Fix It and Fanworks
Woo!
at 10:30 EDT, which is 9:30 CST. So we'll put all this information in a graphic. So there's no live this month because we're doing CitrusCon. I'm so sorry about missing last month's Italia live, but if you guys have any questions about that one, follow us in Discord or just leave us a comment on the video or on Twitter or anywhere. The conversation doesn't stop just because we didn't have a live, but I was out having a life,
Which
which
I think is good. I
which
was
Carola was so excited for.
yes, I was very proud that that you went out and had a life and actually like chose to take some time off. I was very
I did.
proud.
I did. I
Yes.
did. I did. I did.
And it's like the
So
next time we do a live, I mean, we can probably do talk a little bit about Hatalia if anyone wants to
yeah,
chit
for sure. For sure. Because I mean, if we're talking about the BL con scene, we can't ignore the impact Italia had on that.
chat. True.
Oh, the pipes.
Don't talk to me about the pipes. I wish I didn't know.
Oh, the
Why?
pipes.
Why?
Uh,
Why?
if you would like your name shouted out at the end of episodes and exclusive videos, which we've always done. So even if there isn't a live, there is a Patreon video.
Yeah.
Uh, and exclusive merch and other cool things, you can do so at patreon.com/the Yaoi Shelf. Again, that is patreon.com/the Yaoi Shelf. Um, I told someone about you like tuning out during my radio voice segment,
Yes.
and they just started laughing.
But it's just I'm just enjoying the vibes.
Um, Remember to follow us on our social media platforms, including Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, and our 18 plus Discord, all of which is at the Yaoi Shelf. Your engagement helps us out a lot, so comment, like, share. We love answering comments. It makes me so happy, honestly. I love engagement. It brings me so much joy. And Carola, would you like to tell the audience what we're covering next month?
Yes. Hang on.
When she gets back to the outline.
Let me just get my brain cells up and running
Yes.
again. Jesus Christ! Because
Yes.
now I'm like yes, next month we'll be at CitrusCon. No, that
That
is
is still this month.
that is still
It
this
is.
month. It's just
Yep.
it's a Touricon away. So no, next month, which will be September. Is that right?
Correct.
What the
Yes.
hell is happening? Okay, it will be September, and
It
we
will
will
be.
be going back to our roots and discussing queer representation in BL.
Yes. I think we've talked about representation a lot, but we've talked about it in very abstract terms. We've talked about representation like it's a boogeyman, like it's this thing we can't talk about too deeply, otherwise it'll come back and haunt us. So we're gonna start tangibly talking about some queer rep in BL, which means that inadvertently we're going to be talking about Yuki Aries bisexuality.
Yuki 80, my love. Yuki.
dies.
So that's
Dies
what you
old.
mean by going back to our roots. We're just going to talk more about gravitation.
We're gonna talk about other stuff too.
Which, by the way, actual Travis, do you know how happy I was when I finally got my hands on the omnibus
Yes.
first volume, and I still
Yes.
haven't had time to read it,
I
and I'm
haven't either.
uh, I'm so
We're gonna,
excited to compare all the translations, but I don't have
me
any
too.
time.
Well, we're gonna make time,
Hmm.
but I'm excited to talk about Queer Up and BL. Um, this has been a great episode. Good job,
Yeah,
Carola.
good job. Look at us
Thank you.
doing the thing even though we're dead.
Thank you all so much for listening. We
Thank you.
appreciate it, and we will see you hopefully at CitrusCon.
Yay!
We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.